Welcome to the Innkeepers Podcast. We're glad you found your way here.
And welcome to episode 11 of the Innkeepers Podcast. We are a podcast for innkeepers covering Hearthstone's Fireside Gatherings. With insight and information we hope all of our fellow innkeepers will find useful. I'm Patrick from Knoxville, Tennessee.
My name is Rewt from Orlando, Florida.
And I'm Illyri, all the way from Halifax in Nova Scotia, Canada.
And here in episode number 11, the three of us are going to have a nice little chat about some upcoming changes that have been made on the Fireside Gatherings website, about how we schedule our events, and then we talk a little bit about some detailed channels in our Discord.
I think that was my cue. I'm sorry. We don't have a guest, so I'm a bit thrown off. I usually wait for them. As we say every week, and as Rewt just mentioned, the Fireside Gatherings website, which we will be discussing tonight, you can definitely head on over there to check out what's going on with new events. And for Innkeeper-made resources for other innkeepers, check out innkeepers.com. I need the show notes. I thought I could wing it. I did not. It was like so broken.
Don't
up,
try
like,
to be Patrick.
Oh.
The thing is, I usually don't look at the show notes anymore, but when they're in front of me, but apparently I needed that. So
They're a crutch.
next week I will be back with a more smooth social intro.
But what's Bots gonna do without his weekly silence waiting for Kelsey?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, well, I'll have to fill that with something else.
That's the name of my new band, by the way, Waiting for Kelsey.
Nice. That would actually be a really good band name.
I'm telling you, I'm going to launch it right now. I'll be right back.
Oh my
I'm going to go
gosh.
register a domain name.
Oh, speaking of domain names, just a slide in here for a real quick second. So, as we're talking about events and such, so I have been kind of rebranding how I place my tavern in my community kind of deal. So I have a page on Facebook for my tavern, and then the community group is still branded its own thing. And so I needed to change the handle for it. And I was like, Sarah's Rest, it's hard to like spell kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't an easy thing.
Okay.
I legit got HS Tavern. So if you go to facebook.com/HS Tavern, it's me.
Nice.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's legit.
That's good. Now, let me impart a little bit of an issue that I've had with our tavern and our Facebook group in particular. Our tavern name is Florida Fireside.
Mm-hmm.
And what that turned into is other taverns in Florida thinking that we're just a big collective of all the Florida Firesides and expecting us to list their events, to promote their events, to attend their events. And I'm kind of doing that for a little bit, so I'm kind of feeding that monkey that I really don't mean to feed.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been some that have been less than happy about us saying, well, you know, hey, I'll send your event out to my email list, but I'm not gonna pay to promote your event. And they're like, well, why not? Aren't you guys Florida Fireside? Well, yeah, but that's the name of our tavern. That's not. So you have to be you have a great name, but just be careful that people don't think that you're just a catch-all.
Yeah, for sure. And I see Bytes just mentioned in chat that's happened with SoCal Hearthstone community. And the thing with SoCal is it's a hugely active area as well. So they have a lot of people. And, the community here is called HFX Hearthstone. And in Toronto, when I set that community up, it's called the Toronto Hearthstone Guild. And I did it purposefully in a way that it was meant to be a collective. Like I've always approached it that way because I've always... didn't think I could control it necessarily, just in terms of like, I don't know. I always felt like it wouldn't go down in the communities that I was in. And also because the areas weren't super active, I wanted to be like, no, like, please do events too. And then we can like do all this crazy stuff together. So yeah, that is a really good point, especially if you're a new innkeeper wanting to start up a tavern in an area, especially if there's a lot of activity there. Maybe consider what that effect could have on what you're able to do and the kind of community that you're able to run, because it's good to incorporate people, but you should also feel that you can control your own tavern branding of it and not have to share.
The one other thing we get, so Florida, if you're not familiar with it, we're a very long, tall state. Not very wide, but very tall. And north to south anyhow. And we get people all the time who are saying, well, how come you have all your events in Orlando? Why aren't you having any events in Tampa or Jacksonville? We're like, well, there's a tavern in Jacksonville. There's a tavern in Miami. They're like, well, there's nothing going on in here and there. I'm like, well, okay, but we're Orlando. Sorry, we chose Florida. But actually, we're trying to get another one going over in Tampa right now. I'm working with some people out there. As I said before, I kind of am feeding that monkey, so we're working with some people in Tampa to get a Fireside Gathering tavern set up over there. So good times.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good. I actually ran an event Saturday night. You know, I was telling you guys before the show I was sick Friday and most of Saturday, and already had an event scheduled, so you know the event must go on. But I went out to a tavern here in the Knoxville area and ran an event from there like I've done in the past. And we didn't have the turnout that we normally have. We only had about 8 people show up, but so it was a lot of fun to just kind of relax, play some Hearthstone with friends and drink some beer and not have to, you know, go into the whole like, oh, we've got 30 people here. I need to be walking around socializing with everybody, and you know we could all pretty much fit around one table and hang out and have a good time. But something I got to do Saturday night during the fireside was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with a show called The Happy Hearthstone.
Yeah, I've actually heard that one. Yeah,
hosted by Andrew Brown. He was doing a 12-hour live stream on Saturday. Ooh. And bringing in various guests, and he had myself and my assistant innkeeper Versika on his show during our fireside. So we set up a laptop, set up a microphone, and we did an interview about fireside gatherings and innkeeping live from the fireside. So
that's so fun.
It was really neat. Because you know, he was just asking us what it was like to run a fireside and what it was like to be an innkeeper, and you know, because his show focuses more on Hearthstone as a game and not what it is that we do as innkeepers. And so I really enjoyed being able to talk a little more in depth with him and his audience, because he had 30 or so people in chat at the time, and you know that live stream is going to go out on the Happy Hearthstone RSS feed, which, if you're not familiar, Happy Hearthstone is one of the longest running Hearthstone podcasts. Was originally started by Josh Augustine way back during the alpha phase of Hearthstone. So that's going to go out. A lot of people are going to hopefully be able to hear what it's like to innkeep and run a fireside gathering, and so I was pretty excited about having that opportunity to kind of course, pitched our little Innkeeper podcast show while I was on the show. So it was a good weekend.
That's so cool. That's like, I don't know, kind of like a very cool opportunity to just pop up and be like, oh, yeah, we got a fireside going right now. Let's chat, right?
Yeah, it was funny because halfway during the interview, one of the players got a bad top deck, and like from way back in the tavern, you hear, son of a...
Prairie dog.
Andrew just starts cracking up. It's like, well, I guess that's what it's like when you're recording from a live venue.
And that's what it's like at a Hearthstone event. And it's not even like the, I don't know, language necessarily, but like it's just the exclamation. It's like all the things you do at home, it's just funny in public when they happen at Hearthstone. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So Mansion has Austin chat what we're talking about tonight. And so I guess we can move along to the kind of the core of the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. And that is some sneaky changes that Blizzard has introduced to the process in which
Yeah,
Yes.
they went rogue on us.
They, oh my gosh, yes, they did.
Yeah.
There have been a couple updates to the application process for submitting a Fireside Gathering to firesidegatherings.com that fellow innkeepers had posted about in the Innkeeper Discord. And so we investigated, and it's, the one that we thought was a bug, it definitely isn't. I put up my event that's coming up in a month. I put that up, and the deadline was definitely still there. So not to allude too much, but the one we're talking about is that the deadline for submitting an event has moved from 48 hours to, 168? Basically a week. You have to submit an event at least a week in advance to the official website, which, that's a pretty big difference, I think.
That's a huge difference.
It is, but to me, it's going to signify a number of things. Number one, that you're planning your event to happen, and you're not just doing a fly-by-night thing going, hey, let's do this right now. That part's good. The planning part is good. The sad part about that is there are many times when people come up and go, hey, do you have anything going on this weekend? Like, actually, no. They're like, hey, can we get together? You might throw in a Fireside Gathering. It's like, well, okay. And now, if we have that window there, that's going to go away. So it's curious to me is if we're going to get some other types of tools coming along that'll help innkeepers distinguish types of events that they're having. I like the fact that window's there, because that's going to curb the whole NIMSY deal. The fact that people just threw all those NIMSY, I don't know if we should call it like Hurricane NIMSY, that whole event or something. Or this some kind of apocalypse NIMSY cops. I can't think of names that fast, but it wreaked havoc on all of us, and probably more so on the Fireside Gathering team as well, because they were overwhelmed and couldn't do anything about it. So I don't know if this is a knee-jerk reaction from them right now that might get softened up later, or if it's just something that they're just going to try and see how much of a backlash they get from the community. That's just Blizzard 101 there. Make a change, get the backlash, balance it out. Every game might as well be, take that same philosophy to their actual services. So that's going to be interesting to watch.
I agree. And, instance you were talking about where, I've had that happen to me where I'll show up somewhere and there'll be a bunch of players and they're like, hey, we're all here. Can we have a fireside? And I'm like, sure. Let me just, boom, there you go. I've put it on the site. I've started it. Let's go. That's going away now. Now you gotta plan in advance, which is, I think, a good thing. So, it will stop those pop-ups. Just like, hey, everybody's here, let's just do one. That's going to go away. But, it's probably for the better. So.
Yeah,
I think we're going to have innkeeper levels coming. I'm speaking to have no magic ball, no crystal ball, no nothing. But I think we're going to get levels here before too long. And the longer you're an innkeeper, the longer you're doing successful events, the longer you have a good rapport with Blizzard, the more levels you're going to get, the higher ranking. I don't know, like a trusted innkeeper level, where we're going to get some of those privileges back to us, where now we can host an event immediately if we really, really wanted to.
Yeah, they can really run into problems though, because the thing, like for instance, on the website, if you go to a tavern, it says my tavern was established in 2017. I've been running events since 2014. So it's like, will they backdate that stuff if they do introduce levels? Or is it going to be like, well, from here on out, now you earn it? Like, I think that would upset very prominent members of our community.
Nah, I think they have to go back.
Yeah, but then it's like there are innkeepers in our community that are super qualified, but maybe only run like 3 events a year. And then there's people who have been running them weekly, and they can, depending on their experience and opportunities and how they've adapted to it, they can be on the same level, but have run less events.
I think they have a list. I think they know who is running events regularly, who's been running events regularly. I'm not all that you know, I'm almost positive they have a wall with all of our pictures on it, and they throw darts at it and go, okay, that one's good, that one's good. Oh man, Marspad, yeah, that guy. Okay, no.
Yeah. Shout out to Marspad though. You've been upping your game every event. I see the pictures you post in the Discord server, and you're a #1 fan. So definitely shout out to you.
Absolutely.
So everybody else has pictures of themselves. Marspad just has pictures of his feet. That's just his feet there. No shoes, just his feet.
Oh no.
That's it.
Shoes were lost long ago. Who needs shoes?
Who needs shoes? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, I know that I agree with you, Patrick, that, you know, Blizzard knows who's good. But the problem you run into when you start kind of, quote unquote, awarding to people for things is you have to have, like, a very clear, decisive, like, this is what the breakdown is. You know what I mean? And because it's more qualitative data than quantitative, because there is, you know, just so many different things affecting, like, who they might consider as a next level innkeeper, I think that is where the problem will be. And because it's going to be a judgment based, I don't think they'll ever give us a clear, unless there's a very bottom baseline. But for, like, if they introduce levels for the higher levels, I think the first few levels will have like 10 events, X number of events, like 6 months operating, that kind of deal. But for the higher levels, it's going to be a judgment base, and they won't give out what that criteria is. And I think that will upset people, because they'll want to know, why aren't they being chosen, and this and that. And so I hope that if they do introduce things like that we can all just approach it from an angle of they're trying to do good things. If they haven't selected you for it yet, you know, maybe just reach out, make sure that you make them aware that it's something you want, and then just keep doing what you're doing good stuff. And hopefully, you know, it's not something you take super personally, because if they're introducing something like that, it means that they're trying to expand and better suit our needs as innkeepers.
Or they could take a page out of EA's book and we could just pay for our levels. I mean, really.
Oh, too soon. And they retracted it. It's like 17% less now to
Sorry, Bytes.
But yeah.
I bought the Master Innkeeper paid DLC.
That's right. We got the master skin.
Oh my.
It's
too funny. Scott did literally, he is the master skin when he plays the innkeeper himself. So Scott wins.
Oh.
As always, Scott wins. Too funny. But,
you know, when Scott wore his innkeeper outfit at BlizzCon during the Tavern versus Tavern finals, Corsair handed him, I guess some other people didn't know, it's Corsair, they handed him a bag full of tokens to give out to people for taking their pictures with the innkeeper.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
If you went up and engaged the innkeeper to get a cool picture with him, okay, get a selfie, whatever, yay! He gave you a couple tokens to go play this Corsair claw game that they had. Then you had your chance of winning up to a Corsair computer out of that rig, and we stayed in line for 2 hours, and I got nothing. Well, I got these little bang sticks as concession prize, but yeah, Claw didn't give me jack. So.
Yeah. So the other big change that we saw is, besides the 7-day advanced creation time, now there is also a time limit on the amount of time your event can run. And that is no longer than 8 hours at a time.
I like this a lot. I know Blizzard ran into an issue at BlizzCon where they had actually set up 3 separate events for each day, because they couldn't have a Fireside Gathering last the entire BlizzCon. They had to separate it Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, wherever they did. It might have been 2 days, Friday and Saturday. For the Hearthstone Championship Tours, we have to do this. We have to set up multiple day events. Yeah, we don't have to do 8 hours at a time, but they can be, they used to be longer. The reason I like the 8-hour event is if your event starts at 10 o'clock, and that's when people show up, you have a tournament to run, your tournament's going to take you 6 hours to run that tournament. By the end of the tournament, the people who've been there for your Fireside Gathering, have gotten the benefits of being at the Fireside Gathering. They've done their side events. They've done whatever they need to do to get their cool things or Nebsy or whatever else is going on. They've done the Fireside Brawl. They've done all that. It's not until the stragglers start showing up who aren't there for your event, who just want to kind of mooch. They want to show up and mooch what they can, come into last minute and kind of go, hey, we know you were running this thing. Are you still doing it? I mean, I've been packing up, taking my stuff out. We have a cool little red wagon. It's a really cool wagon. And we're loading stuff up into the car from the event and have people show up and gone, hey, is it still going on? It's like, well, technically, no. However, the Fireside's still running. So you can sit over there in the corner and jump on the Wi-Fi and play your Fireside Brawl and maybe get an MZ. But we're not going to do anything for you. And so it's a really awkward situation that the innkeeper can be placed into, or you kind of feel pressure to say, you know what, tell you what, I'll stick around. I was loading my car up. I've been here 12 hours already, but you're here and I want you to have a good time. So let's let you have a good time.
Right.
And you might be dead on your feet and ready just to turn it all off and just go have a beer or something. But you can't, because now you got to turn innkeeper mode back on and help these people out. So I really like this 8-hour thing, because now you kind of go, hey, it's an 8-hour window. Sorry. That being said, I haven't tested it yet. I'm curious to see if it actually stays open longer than 8 hours. So we'll have to see.
I think a lot of what people said in the Discord server is that it does not. Like, people have said, people were playing, we were half an hour past our time and it just cut out. I've had it cut out exactly at the time that it stopped. This was like a month or so ago in October. My event there, or was it in September? Sorry, I'm trying to remember. It was one of them, like within the past couple months. It just cut like right at 6 o'clock. And I was like, oh, that's weird. It opens 24 hours ahead of time. Yeah. Yet it stops right at that time. And I feel like maybe they've adjusted that a little bit, but it's people just the other day, someone on Discord server said that it was like half an hour past and it cut completely out. There's a couple of issues I have with this. So HCT days. So when I was in Vancouver for last season was from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. I think like that's when I think it was 6 p.m. Sorry, that the venue had to be booked and open for HCT day. Well, that's a lot longer than 8 hours. So unless they're planning on changes, and this is a sign that there will be no HCT days that go longer than 8 hours. And I'll tell you what, there's a reason they go longer than 8 hours, and it's because you cannot fit it all in. You know, like you just can't, like I know about this kind of stuff. So unless they drastically change the format and make it like crazy different with a lot less players, it's just not gonna work. So how is that gonna work for us when we need to, especially innkeepers that are hosting those locations, but even if you're hosting a viewing party for it, how can you do that for the entire time? And what is the solution to that? Do we have to, or can we even like create 2 firesides on the same day on the website? I haven't tried it. I don't know if anyone's tried it. Maybe we should, but it's like pretty interesting in that aspect, I feel. And also from another standpoint, not just HCT, I've done a lot of events with LANs. So if it's a LAN weekend, we would just have an area for Hearthstone the whole time that people can drop in and play. And it is meant to be an extended, casual, drop in and play thing. And then there might be a tournament going on in another area. It's typically what'll happen. So again, it's that problem of, well, the LAN is going to dedicate an area for the entire time, which could be from like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So it's going to be so weird to have to be like, no, this area is closed, like coming back later.
I want to inject that I feel like HCTs are a special case because those events are a little more high profile, and so those events will probably be like, what would probably happen is we would schedule that for the 8-hour time limit we're allowed, and then an admin on the Blizzard side would probably adjust it to what it should actually be.
I think this is again one of their knee-jerk reactions, though. How many quote unquote fake NEMC events did we see that were as long as it could possibly be at like a Starbucks that Starbucks had no idea anybody was showing up to? There were a lot of those in there. So I think this is again like, hey, let's reel this in and let's see what we get, and then let's expand it back out to be something a little more appropriate. I agree 100% with you, Patrick. HCT events are completely different. If it is one of those events that is a Blizzard sanctioned event and all cards are off the table, we do what they want. So there'll be the 12-hour, it'll be the 20, whatever they want. It'll be that. So, but again, I think we'll see some changes in this one as soon as they get some feedback from the Innkeeper community.
Okay, so Marspat in chat says he's going to test this. He said he's going to make
The double
event
day?
in December. He's going to make one in the AM and one in the PM and let us know what happens.
I like this.
It's not because it will be auto approved. So
Yep, I got mine coming up December 9th, but I'm not going to mess with it.
mine was December 9th, but I pushed it a week because I'm pretty sure the expansion is going to come
December
out right
7th.
before it.
Yeah. We're
And
just doing a
so
casual, no tournament, just a casual play.
I want to start doing tryouts for my tavern team because Wava, I'm coming for you in the CBT championship box. I want it. So I'm going to start
Nice.
tryouts, and I wanted to give an extra week or so that the local players can get more used to some of the cards that they might see because we're doing deck building challenges. So
Nice.
although I've always, honestly, it's actually super fluky. I've run a bunch of, I used to always host events on Thursdays for the reason that expansions and things would get released on Thursdays. So a number of times I've run like some of the first tournaments in the world with the new expansion. It's been like, it's happened a few times. So I'm kind of sad that like this time won't be one, but it's for like cute, like it's for good reasons. And I am kind of pushing away from that side and just trying to do really big quality community events. So pushing it a week is fine, but I think December 9th will be the first weekend. I do.
Bytes says he has a long event planned for December 3rd, so he can test out some stuff there as well.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
That's actually a really exciting looking event. I don't know if he's announced anything on it yet, but I have had a little
Apparently,
sneak
he
peek.
just did.
So I won't say anything more, Bytes, unless you say in chat that.
Well,
It's
I'm
actually
probably not going to be running an event in the month of December.
You're off the show.
Well, okay, let me rephrase. I'm not running a Fireside in the month of December. I am running an online tournament on December 9th.
There you go.
So that will
That's
be
so
happening
awesome.
for basically for our patrons of Hero Power. We've done multiple events over the course of the year, and all the winners, the 8 winners of those other 4 events, will be competing against each other for the championship.
It's the playoffs.
Yeah,
That sounds
winner take all.
super cool.
So, all right.
That's awesome. And not to jump on you there, but Bytes says that he's uploading a trailer video for it right now, and he will share it here first.
Woo!
First views in the world, everyone, in like
Awesome.
5 minutes. So
Awesome. Yeah, get that 5-minute upload window right now.
All right. So what we'll do is, if it's all right with bots, once it's uploaded, I will play it on the show.
yes,
Should be awesome.
that's so cool. That
So-
exclusive hype.
Yeah.
That's
That's right.
awesome. I'm glad I just decided to announce his event for him, right? Well, no, he did first, so that's okay. Yeah.
All right. So
That looks really cool.
let's see what else we got. Rewt, you've been doing a lot of talk in our prize chat on the Discord about 3D printing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I'm gonna go ahead and say we had Ben on last week, and then everything in this is his fault. When we
Blame Ben.
100%, it's 100% his fault. When we were at the Innkeeper Summit, he and I got to talking, and he's been a longtime fan of my podcast of Hearthcast, and I was wearing a Florida Fireside shirt, and he comes up behind me in one of the rooms. He's like, "Are you from Florida?" I was like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Do you have a podcast?" I was like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Rewt?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Stalker?" And then, but he goes, "No, it's Ben." I'm like, "Wow, not Ben." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So it was like a really cool moment. And it was like, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then I found out that he's like this super creative dude. Yeah. And I'm like, holy cow, you've got all this stuff. You're like a maker. This is fantastic. And we started talking, and we were chatting afterwards, and he showed me these 3D prints of a Hearthstone. And I'm like, you know what? I got to have it. Just ship it down, whatever it is. I'll pay. It doesn't matter. I got to have this because I want to give it away as a prize at my event. And it went over so well that I said, you know what? I got to do this on my own. And so I went and I got myself a 3D printer. And actually, it's kind of a bug. So I got the 3D printer, and I went and I started printing Hearthstones. I mean, you can see the shirt. You know, what does it say? Home is where the oh, don't like. Look at, I just ripped that Hearthstone right out of there. So this is one of the small Hearthstones that we have. This little bad, I print these a lot. My wife is totally sick of me printing these. Aww. So I print these guys a lot. And these we're going to give away as our raffles. So if there's a raffle issue going on, we're doing this. We're also doing a little, like we all have seen, and you guys have better bottles than I do. Avanti's has this really cool, the Arcane Dust bottle. And you've got the great sized one that I want to get. Yeah, that's a small one. You have ones larger than that too, don't you?
No, not me. I just do the one size. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but Larry, you have no camera, so we have to go to the Avanti's. So,
I was gonna say I got big ones.
She's like holding it up, says nothing. But all right, so we were doing those too because those go over really well. But when these went over like hotcakes, people loved getting these, and they're super fun. So I'm actually, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, are you going to paint the swirl blue?
I am. So I buffed this or scuffed this on. Yeah, I did the sandpapering on it, and I'm going to be painting it completely. I printed it in gray, but I'm still going to paint it gray. But I'm going to do the blue swirl. Then its older brother is this guy. He's a little larger. So this is going to be the top of the trophy mount, which is right here. I haven't glued it. This is all just now printed, so you have to go with me on this one. So this is going to be glued on top. And I'm going to be, you can see like the profile here, I'll turn it a little bit. See like a little flat spot right there. I'll be 3D printing the name of the tournament. So December, 2017 Fireside Gathering Tournament, whatever, right there. Not the person's name because I'm not that good. But this is all going to be, again, painted the whole 9 yards. Right now, I've got a legendary card that's being printed on the printer. And tomorrow, I'm printing one of this is great. It's going to be done in white plastic, or PLA is what it's called. It's a white translucent one that I haven't used yet, but it's going to be relatively hollow. And I'm putting in a USB light, so it's going to be like a little USB night light when it's all said and done, or a desk light that you plug in. It's going to be the blue light up swirl. I'm really looking forward to that. And the deal is, so this print, here's the big thing about 3D printing. It takes a long time. You think Scott's upload takes a long time? No. This Joker was a 13-hour print, so it takes a while. So because stuff takes a while, number one, I print like my 3D printer's right over here at the house in the studio at home. So I have a webcam. You remember my old square webcam that you hated so much? You're like, oh my gosh, what is this webcam from the 80s? I have that sitting on the printer, so I'm constantly watching the printer from afar, and I can stop it if it's failing or whatever I need to do. But that's not enough. I can't have one 3D printer. I found this out. I will tell you this right now. 3D printing is almost as addictive as podcasting is. And now I'm doing both, and that's not a good sign for anybody. So I have a little one at work now, and now I can do like these little guys. I can do these guys in an hour or so all day long. I can print on that. I can probably print 4 of them together in probably 3 hours at work and get 2 batches done. I printed for my son today as the test print because I just got this one today. I printed a Overwatch keychain and he absolutely loved it. I think we're about ready. By the way, if you want any more information about 3D printing, wow.bin or he's one of the bins. Just if he's not the right bin, the other bin will tell you to talk to the other bin in our Discord. But he is a fantastic source on 3D printing. I am like a novice at it. He is an absolute pro at it. So if you want some 3D work done, check out the prize channel in the Discord. Check out the event ideas and the prize ideas, and just check that out. One of us will be glad to help you. If I don't know the answer, which I won't, I'll defer you to Wild.Ben, and he'll be able to help you out with all of your 3D printing needs.
Ben has created a monster, but I like it. I love like how passionate.
Oh,
it's how
bad.
You just got is like how I was last week, and I was like, man, I was just out buying little things for the gift boxes everyone's gonna take home. Like, I got a little bag and a little candle and this, and I got my dust bowl. Like, and that's the thing that, like, I really do find with this community is that we do have these super cool channels to share all this stuff, like that we get like hyper focused and passionate about. So yeah, I love that you're doing all this work, and if you ever need to, like, if you find that you're sitting there and you're just surrounded by mountains of Hearthstones, like, feel free to send them out to Canada. Okay, we'll get rid of them for you for free. It's like 1-800 got Hearthstone or something. I don't know.
I'm trying to think what customs would do when those came through.
Like, what are they hiding?
I don't know. There's something going on. I don't understand.
Crack them all open. They're smuggling something.
Yeah. Then they show up and they're all busted open. We're like, sorry. And you're like, oh, it's okay.
All right. So we have a world exclusive.
Oh, gosh. From the innkeeper himself.
From Bytes. All right, gang. Here.
Are you ready in chat?
I
want to get some hype up for this.
Go.
What?
Hey all, I'm Innkeeper Bytes. I'm here to tell you about an event I'm throwing next month in Southern California. If you don't know me, I've organized and run a ton of competitive Hearthstone events in the past, and even more events that are less competitive but are fun and wacky, and they're focused on kind of interactive experiences that can only happen when you meet up at a gathering in the real world. There's stuff like Migo Face Cornhole, there's Magnetic Dartstone, Hearthstone Taboo. I built a giant interactive mountain that has a puzzle that you had to solve with the Lich King's head on top that would talk to you, and you would have to press the buttons in the right order. Really just a lot of stuff that's super outside the box. I was also the tryhard that went full innkeeper at BlizzCon and HTT events recently, so you might have seen me walking around and saying, "Warm your frozen boots by the fire." It's the Innkeeper! Oh, legendary! Wow! So I love traditional Hearthstone esports, but I also love twisted formats and crazy house rules. So I always wonder what would happen if you combine competitive and crazy house rules together. So that's why I made Bytes Cracked Cup, Volume 1, at McFadden Public Market in Santa Ana on December 3rd. It's going to be a live, competitive event that it's going to have massive twists and restrictions to make sure that players end up playing some really crazy decks. So I'm going to have a giant list of ban cards to start things off. Ultimate Infestation is too much of a swing card for me. It's out of here. Shadow Reaper Anduin, I'm tired of seeing him. No Shadow Reaper Anduin. Is Jade Druid really still around doing Jade Druid things? Not in my tournament. It's gone. In addition to the banned list, all the decks will be built in standard, but all the games are going to be played in wilds, so that makes things like Discover or random effects even more interesting. Each round you win in the tournament will award you 20 points, but there's ways to earn bonus points on top of that. You've seen like the Pirate package you can put into a deck, or the Dragon package. In Bytes Cracked Cup, you're going to have the Bad Card package. If you play with these cards in your deck and you win, you're going to earn bonus points.
In some players actually like winning with bad cards.
If you're feeling brave and you want to earn even more points, every round you can draw up to 2 cards from the Disadvantage deck. These are random challenges that will cause you to wreck your deck and make it worse. And the wackier your deck gets, the bigger the gamble, the higher the reward if you win. For Volume 1 of Bytes Cracked Cup, we have almost $1,000 worth of prizes to give away. And hopefully this is just the start of things to come. If it's successful and fun, we're going to have regular events that always have weird twisted rules and always have big prize pools and exciting things to win. The first volume of the Cracked Cup is going to take place on Sunday, December 3rd at McFadden Public Market in Santa Ana, California at 11 a.m. You can register online at matcherino.com, and the event is totally free. All that we ask is that you support the venue by buying a drink while you're there. Bytes Crack Cup is something I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So mark your calendars, and I'll see you there.
Noise.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
I might actually, with rules like that, I might actually win a game if I played.
Oh my, thank you so much, Scott, for letting us have that worldwide exclusive. Feel free to give them to us every time.
Yeah. So, which means we expect another world premiere next week. I don't know.
Yeah. And the week after
I
that,
apologize
like,
for it being a little cropped on screen. I didn't really have time to test it and make sure it was going to fit before I played it. But check with Scott, or I guess he'll let us know where it's posted on YouTube, or if he wants me to share that link, we'll put it in the show notes. It'll be in the description of the YouTube video. So
yeah, that's cool.
All right.
Sweet.
So.
And hey, let us know what you guys think about the changes that Blizzard's making to the Fireside Gathering website scheduling. I know a lot of us are already voiced our opinions in the Discord chat, but if you haven't, now's the time. They read it, and it's good feedback for them to be I won't say positive, because you could have negative feedback, but be constructive with your feedback. Don't just be like, this sucks, because that doesn't mean anything to anybody. If you don't like it, explain why. And be helpful and be constructive with your criticism. And it'll go a long way to changing if you want it to be changed.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I believe that's going to about do it for us this week. Did we have any questions in the podcast chat and Discord?
That is like way over on the other side of the room, and I didn't. I could go check.
No, that's okay.
We don't. I can see it. It's all good. Not necessarily. I should have just made you get up and go check.
You should have. I mean, I have nothing in front of me. I wing the whole show. No, so
nice.
No, I didn't have anything to go. Hey, I did want to take this time though to wish everybody in the United States of America happy Thanksgiving. It is this week for everybody. Spend some time with quality loved ones, family, and friends. I know Canada. When did you guys have lives? Next week? Last week? When did you have yours?
It was a month ago.
Yeah, something like that. You guys.
But we have Black Friday the same weekend, so we can all enjoy Black Friday together.
So, yeah, there you go. So we could do that. We can spend money together.
Funny?
I was just thinking, man, it's glad to know people are out trampling other people in Canada for good deals, just like we are in America.
Yeah, it's like one of those weirdest things because everybody's like so happy, and they're you're with family, you're with friends, you're with loved ones, you're sharing a meal, you're sharing laughter, you're watching football, and then you just go beat the crap out of anybody, complete strangers, the next day to get a freaking Cabbage Patch Kid or whatever.
I would imagine just the only difference I picture in my head is like in America we're trampling each other trying to get a TV. In Canada, they're trampling each other trying to get the TV and apologizing on the way.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's mine. Sorry. Yeah.
Except they're saying sorry, not sorry up there. This.
So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. On episode of 11 this week, we talked about changes to the Fireside Gathering scheduling, and Rewt got to tell us a little bit about what it takes to 3D print trophies and prizes.
Ben's fault.
Yeah, and it's all Ben's fault.
Ben's fault.
And we got to exclusively present the first world video of the Bytes Cracked Cup coming to a Santa Ana venue near you.
Which he probably 3D printed that cracked cup, by the way. Just saying.
So make sure you. I guess we'll be back normal day and time next week.
Yeah, with some turkey.
Yeah, we'll probably all be in food comas. So it may just be you guys watching the three of us on stream sleep. But
I think we get banned for that. Don't do that.
No, it's just an IRL stream.
Yeah,
Right?
there you go.
We'll just switch it from Hearthstone to IRL.
So, all right. Aleary, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Aleiri. That's ALEIRRI. And I do want to give a big shout out, excuse me, to our chat tonight. You guys were active and chatting and asking questions, and that's super awesome. We love to see that. How about you, Rewt? Where can people find you?
You can find me every Monday right here without show notes. And then you can find me on the Twitters at Hearthcast Rewt. That's where I'm at. I do a show called Hearthcast, about a weekly podcast about the Blizzard universe with myself and Freckleface. I want to also give a big shout out to all my fellow innkeepers at Florida Fireside for all the hard work that they do. So couldn't do it without them. Cheers, guys. What about you, Avantes? Where can people find you?
As always, they can find me on the Twitters at AvantesHS, or every week. I say every week on Wednesday nights at 7:30 Eastern on twitch.tv/ECMMOGamers, where I am doing Hero Power, Hearthstone podcast with my co-hosts Versika and Zeroshio. However, there is a slot change to that, with it being Thanksgiving in the U.S. this week. Some of us will be traveling on Wednesday, so we will actually be doing that show live tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. So just moving it up a day to make sure we get it in. So, all right, and don't forget, for all of your innkeeper needs and all of the resources, make sure you check out hsinnkeepers.com, hosted by our one and only Bytes. Also, make sure you check out the official Blizzard resource, which is resources.firesidegatherings.com. And as we close the show this week, we want to thank all of you for joining us and listening, and especially those of you who joined us live in chat. We love having you there. And we'll see you all again next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Innkeepers Podcast. For all sorts of Hearthstone community-related goodness, check out hsinnkeepers.com. Ah, come on now. Are you just roping me along?